Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What's up, bro?
What up?
That man still got his sleep voice, like he tired still.
One day of work in uniform, and I'm already like tired and groggy. So
was yesterday your first day back in uniform?
Hey, yep.
Did you still remember how to put it on and everything?
It's like right. We'll talk about it.
We're also joined by Billy himself. What's going on, Billy?
Nothing much.
Fashionably late.
So for the first time in the history of the podcast, Billy Eugene Stuckman VI was late today. For the first time ever.
There are a few things that I dislike more than being late to something.
And he actually even pulled one out of my book and was like, I'm 3 minutes away. And I was looking at my stopwatch.
The GPS said 5 minutes and I said 3 minutes.
You know what's funny about that is I almost sent a text when he said I'm 3 minutes away. I almost sent him a text saying, I actually believe you. Like, I actually believe you're exactly 3 minutes away.
And I swear there was construction on streets that had never had construction in the history of time today.
Yeah, I hear you.
I almost, if I was capable of doing it, I almost sent a stopwatch and said, go. Tick tock, tick tock.
Yep. Time is of the essence.
Oh, man. Well, fellas, how you guys doing, man?
I'm good. Billy?
I'm fine. I want to hear about AJ back to work.
Oh yeah,
First day back in uniform. God is good because my uniform still fits, so I ain't have to loosen up nothing.
Man,
I ain't have to adjust. It's a little tight, I had to suck in the vest a little bit, but
for those of y'all that don't understand, that's a win. That is a win.
That is a major win because I was scared to put my uniform on. So
shoot,
it fits.
I got to put my Class A on in a couple of weeks. I'm a little nervous about that.
So I haven't tried my honor guard uniform. So for those of you who don't know, like the honor guard uniform is like custom tailored to your body. So it like fits perfectly. I haven't tried that yet. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Again.
I probably will. But yeah, it's like riding a bike, man. I hopped on with another officer and she was cracking up all day because I was making like wrong turns. I wasn't listening to the radio. She was like, "Oh yeah," she was like, "I'm coaching you today."
Oh man, that's too funny. Well,
but yeah, no, it was good to see everybody, man. Like stop by, all my different spots, like the rec centers, the pool was open, so stop by there, and everybody remembered me, so it was cool.
Oh man, that's too funny. Too funny, man. Well, before we get into that, I just want to shout out all of our listeners. Thank you guys for listening and subscribing to us. Continue to leave those 5-star reviews and 5-star ratings. It helps us grow up the charts, and so we appreciate all of that. And just continue to write what your feedback is, so we know how to improve upon what we got. Go ahead.
Not to cut you off, but I got a lot of messages about the last episode. So everyone who's listening to this has sent me a message. I probably read it. I probably just didn't have time to respond. So I definitely appreciate the support and the messages you sent.
Yeah, same here. So we appreciate you more than you guys know. I got a funny news segment real quick that we're gonna do.
Oh yeah.
And this one is called "How Much Do You Love Your Wife?" Now, I'm gonna give y'all a scenario.
She listens to the podcast a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna give y'all a scenario, and I want to know what you guys would do. All right. So,
Ryan trying to break up a happy home.
So you guys got to be somewhere. Let's say you got to be somewhere early in the morning. Like it's like you running late. Let's say you running late like Billy this morning, and so. You go
somewhere the golf course.
Yeah, but before you leave the house.
Yeah, it matters where the somewhere is. But go on with the story.
Before you leave the house, you got to do your morning duty. You got to use the bathroom and stuff like that. And so when you're using the bathroom, as you finish, you realize there's no more toilet paper. So you get up and go to another bathroom in your house to get some toilet paper and finish doing your thing.
You're one of 7.
Yeah, finish doing your thing. Yeah, whatever. Finish doing your thing. So you finish doing your thing, you run out the house because you're running late, and you get around the corner, and you remember, bro, I didn't flush the toilet.
Ooh,
the original toilet. I didn't flush the toilet of the original bathroom. So
Wait, so you went to 2 bathrooms?
hold on. So
Did you pull an upper decker or what?
hold on. So here's the question. Here's the question for y'all.
No, we need clarification.
Here's the question. Do you guys are at the stoplight and remember you're running late? Do you turn back around and go flush the toilet, or do you allow your wife to wake up, see it, and then flush the toilet?
I text her and just tell her I forgot to flush. That's not a big deal at all.
What about you, AJ? What about you, AJ?
Wait, first off, did you start in one bathroom and finish in the other?
No. The other one, you remember you just needed toilet paper, so you went.
Okay, so you squaddle all the way to the other bathroom.
Why are you saying you? I'm just asking. I didn't say this was me. I'm just
in
asking.
a hypothetical world.
For a friend.
for a friend. So I know what Billy's gonna do. What do you do, AJ? Do you turn around, go flush the toilet, or do you allow your wife to wake up to that and call you?
That's tough, man. It depends on what the event is. Like, are people waiting on me?
It's not like a serious thing. You just gonna be late though. Like, it's not like overly serious, but you don't want to be late.
I'll probably text her. But
Yeah.
hey, just don't look. Hold your breath. Don't look. flush
And mind you, the seat cover is up, so it's not like they can go in there and.
I mean, you guys been married a while. Has she never seen your morning deuces? You know, like, come on.
Now I see how much y'all love y'all wife. I love my wife enough. I turned around and went flush the toilet.
Oh, wow.
No, that's because you must have had some Taco Bell or something. It must have been bad. Like, there must be some other details we missing. Because
I just know my wife, man. She does not like anything nasty. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to just take one for the team. If I'm a couple minutes late,
Nah.
I'm going to go ahead and flush. I wasn't that far from house, mind you. I'm just literally around the corner. So
It's not worth going back up the stairs to reflush the toilet. Come on.
See, I don't know about all that.
Billy's just
Yeah, because some people. So, all right, this is good. This is good. Because some
If I have a
people-
good one, I'm like, babe, check this out. Like, no, it's-
I'm going to make sure your wife
Yikes.
listens to this episode.
Yikes. So some people don't mind stuff like that. Like, some people will be brushing their teeth while their wife is just like taking care of business right beside them. And I'm like, for me, it's too much. It's too much.
Oh man, that's too funny. That's too funny. Well, I thought that was good. This happened last week, man. I was on my way to jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu starts at 6 a.m. So I was already running late. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, man, I was literally at the stoplight, and I was like, do I just go for it or do I just turn back around? I was like, you know what? I know my wife well enough to know. Let me just turn around, flush.
That's good. Well, you knew your wife, so that's good because it's gonna be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So Billy, do you like? Are you one of them that like just brush your teeth and while she in there doing whatever, or vice versa?
Our toilet has like its own door, so that can be closed, and the sinks are far enough away. It's like not.
But is it closed? That's the question.
Oh no, I don't always close the door. I'll be honest.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Come on.
My wife's gonna hate. Our wife's gonna hate. My wife's
I mean,
gonna
we're
hate.
laughing,
I'll
but
do it.
come on, 99% of the people are like, yeah, I'll admit it, same thing.
Nah, I gotta
the
close. I gotta have it closed. It's too much. Too
Yeah.
much.
Well, if I'm finishing up, I close the door. It still feels kind of weird when you're finishing up. And we got one of those like bidets. No, just kidding.
You're in a vulnerable position. You got.
Yeah. I need to keep some of the mystery alive, you know.
Oh man, that's too funny. Anyways, man, I thought that would be a good way. And before we move to AJ's, back to work, Billy had his first negative interaction with law enforcement. I want to hear about this.
did.
I actually told him.
What?
I actually told him to save this for the podcast, so I still haven't even heard the story yet. But I wanted to hear it now, so let's hear it.
So first off, I want to start off where I know this is the most G-rated vanilla interaction of all time, but it was
He's like, I want to start off by saying Blue Lives Matter.
No, it was a breakdown of communication, and I was partially in the wrong. Okay, so
So you was right. He was wrong.
so I was shooting a wedding on Friday. Can I say the city or anything? Or?
Yeah, do you think?
So we were up in these.
I want officers' names. You got
Badge
put 'em out
number,
there.
son.
We were up in the hills, Chino Hills. So I was shooting a wedding, and there's these beautiful hills around sunset. And so we drive up there, and you have to pass through a gate, and we're up in the hills, and there was a no parking sign. There's like this pull out, no parking sign, and we park like 5 cars there. So we're out of the road, but there's no parking sign. So we're like, okay, let's just go like 50 feet away. We'll get our pictures and video, and we'll go back to the car. And then like literally 10 minutes later, we see the cop car, flashing lights there. I'm like, oh no. So we all run over. So it's like, it's the whole bridal party, bride and groom, and then me and the photographer. And one of the bridesmaids like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'll get in my car. I'll move it. And then he starts off with, do not get in your vehicle. Come here. And immediately I'm like, oh, great. He's not happy today,
Oh, great.
Yeah,
So-
he didn't have his morning coffee yet.
We walk up to him. He's like, now I know, I know you guys have to enforce things and be stern sometimes. So I'm not acting like a baby here. So you
I
guys,
love how much he's like prefacing this. Like,
so you guys wanted to avoid a $5 parking fee. And I could have given you, and he counts the cars, 1, 2, 3, 4, $71 ticket for each one of you. That's a lot of money. We're like, yes, sir. That's a lot of money. Like, we're sorry. And
Yes, sir.
we actually didn't know about the $5 parking fee. We thought we'd just come up here, get a few photos and go. He's like, well, does that sign say no parking anytime or no parking unless you have a quick photo shoot to do?
oh yes.
It's like, man, he's talking to us like we're 4. I was like,
Billy was like, do you not know I have white privilege, sir?
it's like,
You
it
ain't pull
said-
out your white card, Billy.
So yeah, it says no parking anytime. Well, and he looks at the bride and groom. Now, I'm sorry I'm doing this on your wedding day, but you broke the law and now you're dealing with the law. So I am ejecting you guys from the park. You're no longer welcome here. You can come back tomorrow. I'm like, okay, yes, sir.
Oh, my man was top flight security of the world.
Oh.
Chris.
So we got in our cars and left. So that's it. But
Billy said, do you not know who I am?
yeah,
Have you
Was he
not
a cop?
heard of
I
the
hope
It's
you're a
Needed
podcast listener. I know.
Have you not heard
Was,
of the
was he a
It's Needed
cop or was he a
podcast?
security guard?
He had a vest on, but it was like a pale green. So I don't know if it was sheriff, but it was like a cop car.
Like
and
a park ranger. He sounded like a park ranger.
Did it say sheriff on the car, though?
I didn't look. But
Come on, Billy.
I know. I left feeling like, look, there could have been a way where you gave me the ticket, and I would have been like, yeah, he got us. But he just talked to me like I was 4.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. This could have all in rights, not defending the officer out there, because if he's an officer, then that sucks. But this could have been very well a security officer.
Do they wear like
Yeah,
the
it sound-
full
it sounds
vest?
like
and
some
like,
of them do.
I thought there was like a
Some-
sheriff
yeah.
like
some
badge.
of them do. Some of them do. Some of these guys wear these load-bearing vests, and they all tacked out and all that stuff.
They more tactical than we are.
Oh yeah, that's not to say though. It could have very well been a sheriff though. It could have a
Okay.
sheriff or a police
Then
officer.
I should have made sure to see who it was. Yeah. 'Cause he got there
Let's
kind
go
of
back
quick.
and find out.
Because it's not somewhere you would patrol at all. So I don't know if someone called on
Probably
us
private
or
security.
if he was the park
Yeah,
security.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's private. Yeah, it's probably some security. That's why he kicked you off the thing. And
He
a
didn't- no,
$5
he didn't
ticket?
kick us
I
off.
ain't
He-
never heard of the police writing a $5 ticket.
No, it was a $71 ticket because we didn't pay the $5 parking fee.
My man was mad. He must have not flushed the toilet that morning.
Yeah, so
So
more of the story. I think you can talk to people without them being like this whole sign thing. Like, well, does the sign say no parking anytime, or if there's a quick photo shoot? It's like, all right,
and you know, Billy was stewing on that. Like,
Billy
you
was-
gonna talk to me like a kid?
I will see you in court.
yeah, I'll fight this to the death. I will
see
die
you-
on this hill.
I will see you in court. But you know what? That actually brings for good
I
conversation.
pay your
though.
salary. That's what you
I
should have
know.
said.
No,
But it brings for good conversation though, and it kind of brings the good conversation of, can we be better tactically in the words that we use? Now, I don't know if this was an officer or if it's a security officer, but it doesn't matter. Irregardless, is can we be better at how we talk to people and enforcing our job? And I completely think we can. Like, I think sometimes we get stuck in this mode that we're like RoboCop, or some officers think they're like RoboCop, and they take this stuff too serious. Like, when you break a law, it's like you broke their law. When you talk out of line, it's like, no, you disrespected them. Like, sometimes people take this job way too serious, and I'm just like, man, like, chill out. It's not that big of a deal. Like, you make it seem like I came here and this is your town and you the sheriff of this town, and I broke all your laws. Like, calm down.
You could convey the same message without like coming off like a jerk too. Like, you could even say the same thing just in like a different tone or a different manner and still have the same effect. Like, he could have easily like said, hey, come on guys, like, does it say no parking at any time, or does it say no parking when you got a photo shoot? And you guys probably would have laughed. He probably would have laughed and be like, all right, get out of here.
that's
you
what
guys still learned.
kick us off. I mean, even if you wrote me a ticket, not the bride and groom, but I felt like, okay, if this was a AJ or Ryan type of cop, it probably would have ended up with us cracking up, talking to him, and like leaving feeling positive. You know? Even though
Yeah,
we,
and-
I don't know, we were in the wrong.
That's the key. That's you just said it, is making sure you leave on a positive note, because I've arrested people like that I've had to use force on, right? Like, whether I've tackled them, had to strike them, had to mace them, tase them, whatever. And by the time I dropped them off at jail, we're best friends. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, man, like, hey, you be safe out there, man. I see you when I get out. And I'm joking with him, like, yeah, I'm gonna make a shirt that say free you, man. I see you when you get out. And we're both laughing, but we end on a positive. So like, despite how negative it is, and you know, I guess there are extreme cases where it's not possible to end on a positive, but most cases are. It's up to the officer, really, like, especially because we initiate the contact. Like, you don't have to go out here and be
especially
be
as something as petty as that. Especially as something as petty as that. Like, there are so many times where I've written people tickets and I have people thank me because I'm not a jerk about it. And I even tell people, I'm honest, like, hey, you know, I get it. I understand you're on the phone, or I understand, you know, you weren't wearing your seatbelt. I've been there before. I've done that. Sadly, you know, doing this job many of times, I've seen some fatal traffic collisions where people lose their life because they're not wearing a seatbelt, or people have killed somebody because they're talking on the phone. And so this is just one of the ways that we have to try to enforce the law, so that way it can help save you and somebody else. Just break it down to them a little bit. So, you know, this may not be, this isn't a reflection of who you are or whatever, like just little things like that, but it goes a long way, like a long, long way. And I think, you know, sometimes even when people are disrespectful, if somebody starts, you know, if I pull somebody over, they're disrespectful to me, I'm not going to try to immediately be disrespectful back. I will say, acknowledge like, hey, sir, or ma'am, like, have I been disrespectful to you at all? And usually 9 out of 10 times they're going to be like, well, no. I'm like, so why are you being disrespectful to me? And then just do your thing and then be on your way. But don't take it personal. Don't make it seem like, you know, you're speeding on my street and this is my law and you broke my law. Sometimes these guys take that crap way too serious.
But no, Billy though, he probably said something like pompous, like when he seen the cop. Like he probably seen the cop and went, psh.
Yeah, I was like, who's this pig?
You must not know
Nice
who
vest.
I am.
Yeah,
You must not know
Nice
who
hat,
I am.
loser.
I was mouthing off. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know we have close to 1 million followers and subscribers on our podcast?
Yeah. You must not know who I am.
You must not know that I produced that.
But you ain't get a ticket. Nobody got a ticket.
No, he didn't give us tickets. So that was cool.
He's still complaining about it. So
Yeah.
lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, but in all actuality, I had a very similar incident where, and I have to be careful. Actually, I don't forget it. So I used to live in an apartment complex that was attached to like a strip, like that had like a bar, like a restaurant, like a laundromat, like all this stuff, right? And it's like a little like strip. And my cousin, who had just moved to Columbus, would come over to my apartment and do her laundry. So this random like Thursday or Friday, she comes over with her friend and she's like drops her laundry off, you know, throws her laundry in the washing machine. And she's like, hey, I'm gonna walk down to the bar. You want to come? And I'm like, nah, I'm tired. Like, I'm gonna just chill here. So her and her friend walk to the bar. Literally like 5 or 10 minutes later, she calls me and she's like, hey, she's like, this bar like is dead. Would you mind picking us up and taking us to another bar that was like a little further down the street? Like not really walkable because like there's like a big street she would have to cross. I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing nothing. So keep in mind, she's not drunk. I'm definitely not drunk. I'm chilling at the house, right? So I pull up to the bar. They get in the back seat like I'm an Uber, right? Like they both just get in the back seat. As soon as I pull onto the street, this cop car comes flying behind me. Like I thought they were going to rear end me. So I get over really quick, like, whoa. He gets over, turns his lights on. I turn into a parking lot immediately, roll my windows down, hands on the steering wheel, radio off, the whole thing, right? Got my ID ready. So he walks up to me and he goes, where's the fire? Like didn't say hi, didn't introduce himself. Didn't like, that's literally how he approached me. He goes, where's the fire? And I go, officer, I'm not sure what you're referring to. And he goes, I got you going like 37 and a 35 or something like that. And I'm like, first off,
Not on my watch.
really?
Not on
Second
my
off-
watch.
Second off, there ain't no way I even got to that speed just turning out of this drive, like this private driveway, right? So I'm like, okay, it's something wrong with this, right? So I just went with it. I'm like, I don't think I would have been able to make it to that speed in that short distance of me turning out that block, but like, here's my ID. So I handed him my driver's license and then I put my police ID underneath my driver's license. That way he sees I'm a cop because I have my firearm in the car, right? Like I don't want him to see my gun and be like, oh, what's this, right? So he separates the two. He sees my police ID and literally throws it in the car like a Frisbee. And he goes, you should know better. And I'm like,
Okay.
what?
Who pissed in your
So-
Cheerios this morning?
So he says, he goes, like he hints around like being drunk. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just put this out here, man. I go, if you're gonna write me a ticket, go ahead and write me a ticket. I go, if not, go ahead, let me go. But I'm not drunk. My cousin just left the bar. She's not drunk. Her friend's not drunk either. And it got to the point where they're in the back seat crying. So he walks around my car with a flashlight looking for violations, right? I mean, he treated me like I was like legit criminal. Right? Goes back to his cruiser, runs a warrant check on me, comes back, and he goes, your best bet is to go home. Like throws my ID in the car, right? So I'm heated, right? So I tell my cousin, I go, look, I'm going to drop you off at your house. I'll throw your clothes in the dryer, and then I'll call you when it's ready, and, I'll come pick you up or whatever. So she's like, all right. This officer followed me the entire way out of the city. Was right in my bumper I was so mad. I was like punching the steering wheel. But let me tell you what happened. I told my chief about it like a week after it happened.
Does this guy work for your department?
No. This is like a suburb. So I told my chief about it, and my chief emailed his chief and then identified who he is. And that chief made him handwrite me an apology letter. like literally hand wrote it and like mailed it to me. But apparently, like, this guy's that's kind of like his MO. But yeah, no, I was like, I got to the point even where I was like, look, either you gonna write me a ticket or you gonna let me go. But I ain't gonna sit here and be lectured like a little kid, bro. Like,
this kind of brings up a good discussion, because you have guys and gals like this that police our streets that, we call them, like, we like to call them the letter of the law cops, where, they operate within they use that law book to a T. Like, they will pull you over for bald tires. And it was like, seriously, bro, like you've been looking at my tires. And you have the spirit of law where it's like, hey, I know you messed up, but even though you messed up, I'm going to kind of cut you a break. Or you still have spirit of law cops that they'll may give you a ticket for whatever you did, but their way they approach it is not, condemning to you. And so, Billy, when's the last time you had been pulled over prior to?
Probably high school.
Okay, so
dang,
that's impressive. Yeah, that's impressive.
Must be nice, Billy. All right.
but that kind of brings up a serious talk. Like, what about, because there are people out there, when we talk about race, I do want to talk about race for a second. There are other races, or there are black people in the black race that feel like they get pulled over all the time over some petty stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and rightfully so. There, a lot of them are. There's probably some truth to that. So, is it justifiable for them to feel the way they do when they feel frustrated that they get pulled over all the time? And I'm not talking about the guys that are legitimately out there breaking the law, that are out there doing something shady, and then they want to cry wolf, anytime they get pulled over. Like, the guys I'm not talking about the shady people. I'm talking about like good people, good wholesome people that find themselves getting pulled over all the time. Do they have a right to be frustrated?
Are there stats on if they actually do get pulled over more, or like more often, or is it like more of a feeling? Like,
I couldn't quote you a stat right now. I'm sure there's got to be a stat out there. I just know, based on the pulse of me doing a lot of speaking and stuff, that it seems like that's one of the biggest things, is that, and I also have family members, myself included, and my uncle, have been pulled over frequently when you're growing up, and there was really no crazy, out of the ordinary reason that they should have been pulling us over, other than something just ticky tack.
I'll say this, and we'll say, let me think how to phrase this. I think that it more so depends. So, we've talked about it, right? Like, there is racism inside policing as a profession. But on a topic such as this, I think it more so depends in the area that you live or that you frequent. And that's just based off of my experience, right? We're not going to say my personal experience. We'll just say my experience being a police officer, interacting with police officers all over the world, really, is if you live or if you frequent a high crime area, you are more likely to get pulled over in that area, because police officers are trying to be proactive to fight the crime and to fight the violence. To where if you live in an area that doesn't have as much crime, violence, whatever, the odds of you being pulled over or having an interaction with a law enforcement officer is extremely lower. So I'll pose this question: is because I know there are people out there who will say, well, that's not right. Right? Like, I should be able to drive through this neighborhood and not get pulled over, despite where it's at, which, you know, people are going to say that. So I guess my question is that right? And why is it or is not?
That's a great question. Before I answer that, the opposite could be said though too, where you may have a place where there is not a lot of crime, but you may not be one of the you may be a black person driving in a predominantly white neighborhood, and so they pull you over for that reason there because, and this is what people can say, you pulled me over because I don't technically belong in this neighborhood based off of the demographic, so you get pulled over, and so that's what we call racial profiling, which is wrong,
which is illegal, right?
It is illegal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very illegal.
Yeah. So, but I get what AJ is saying. I think we've talked about this before, is this whole idea of criminal profiling versus racial profiling, as well as being proactive and trying to be preventative. And so for me, the way I've always done my job, you know, I guess you could say in the area I work, it's predominantly Hispanic, but it's also Caucasian. No, Hispanic and Caucasian are the predominant races. So I live in a city where when you see somebody black, it's like, oh shoot, there's another black person here, because you don't really see too many black people in our city. And so when I enforce the law, I try to be very transparent immediately. Like unless it's going to compromise an investigation I'm doing, I try to be as transparent as I can be from the very jump. You know, and again, I think just based off of how you deal and interact with that person, it can solve a lot of that. Oh, you pulled me over because I'm black, or you pulled me over because I'm Hispanic. Like just based off of your interaction with that person, you don't have to be super by the book, robotic and stuff. Treat the person like a human being. Hey, sir, how you doing? I pulled you over because you ran that stop sign. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy out here. We've had some collisions out here. I just want to make sure that, you know, everybody's out here driving safe. So that's why I pulled you over. Now they decide whether or not they want to be frictional or whatever, you know what I mean, or hostile towards you. And they a lot of times they will, but that still doesn't mean that you respond in a negative way either. So I think that you can control a lot of what people think when you stop them based off of your personal interaction with them. But I do think that there is a place for criminal profiling, and that's what I think we have to educate the community on, so they understand why certain people may get pulled over in certain areas at certain times of day, because of profiles that we see as police officers. Go ahead, AJ.
So two really quick things. The first thing is just a quick story to talk about, like the criminal profiling thing that you were just referencing. Is years and years and years ago, there was a red like Dodge Ram. It was like very unique, that this this crazy drug dealer would drive, and he would like shoot up houses in. I mean, this guy was like crazy, but it was like very distinctive, right? He knew that we knew him. He knew us by name. I mean, like that's the type of rapport we had with this guy. We would try to pull him over. He would run from us in that truck. I mean, it was just like that type of situation, right? So one day I'm coming up to this four-way stop, and this red Dodge Ram goes flying through the intersection. I mean, doesn't even like touch the brakes. Woo! So I see it, and the first thing I go is, man, this dude ain't even acknowledged the stop sign, right? Like I could have been coming through here and he could have cooked us. The second thing is, I'm like, oh, that's blank, right? Like he's in this Dodge Ram, right? So I bust the left, radio it in, and go let my partner know, like, hey, this is that truck that we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Light it up. He pulls over. I immediately open the door. I'm talking about before the cars even stop. I hop out the door. I got my gun like low ready down by my side, because like I said, this guy is out of his mind, right? Go up to the driver's side door. It's the wrong truck. So I walk up to the truck. The gentleman who was driving this truck was an older black man, and he seen that my gun was like down by my thighs, down by my thigh, and he kind of like had his hands up by the steering wheel. And I see him. I immediately holster my weapon. I go, hey, how you doing today, sir? I go, you just blew through that stop sign. Did you not see it? And he goes, I didn't. He was like, I've been messing with my phone. And he's like, I'm so sorry about that, officer. He's like, I realized what I did as soon as I blew through the stop sign, because I seen you immediately turn behind me. And he goes, by the way, He goes, I see you walking up here with that gun in your hands. He goes, I'm so ready to sell this truck because everyone thinks I'm that crazy guy with the face tattoos.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And starts talking about it. He's like,
Wow.
I've seen that guy chase people around this neighborhood. And I was just like, huh. But he was super cool about it. Like, he was super cool about it. He was like, look, I get it. Like, that's not me. I'm going to sell this truck because I'm tired of people thinking that it's me. I'm glad you're out to get him because he's a menace to this community. Like that was pretty much the conversation that we had. But the second thing that I wanted to bring up, referencing what you were just talking about, is I make it a point to talk to people the same way I would talk to people if I didn't have the uniform on. I act the exact same way. I talk the same way. I carry myself the same way. And that makes people comfortable because they see how comfortable I am. They see how open I am to having the conversation, right? Because as soon as he said that, I was like, I did think that was him, to be honest with you. He's like, no, he's like, I don't blame you. He's a menace. I seen him chasing a car a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago or whatever. But it's just always helped me. So even in like Billy's incident where he was, dealing with top flight security, right? Like that guy could have just had a normal conversation with you the way he talks to people every single day. And y'all both probably would have walked away happy. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves is you have officers who go into certain areas and they feel like they have to put on a front, or they feel like they have to be somebody that they're not in order to appropriately or effectively do their job and or communicate. And it's like people see through that. And definitely don't come into this neighborhood trying to be a tough guy because you have the uniform on, because there's people out here who don't care about that. Like there's people out here who don't care about that badge and gun. Like they got a gun too, and probably a bigger, badder gun than what you have. So that's just my piece of advice. Like when we talk about something like this, is like, no matter what your interaction is talk to people the same way you would talk to them if you didn't have that uniform on. And a perfect example is like, when I punched that guy a couple years ago, like immediately afterwards, I was having a conversation with him like, man, what were you thinking? Like, why would you do that? Like, that's the same conversation I would have with him if I wasn't in uniform. So just try it. Hear me out. Just try it.
You're absolutely right, because
goes.
I think sometimes, we officers become too stone-faced.
Yeah.
And I know in the academy, I never forget in the academy when they taught us how to do traffic stops, there was a certain way that you did a traffic stop. There was a certain script you followed. Hey, my name is Officer Tillman from the such and such police department. The reason I pulled you over is for such and such. Can you hand me your license or registration, please? That's the script that they tell you. But I want you to understand, especially if you're a newer officer listening to this, that's just a template. When you have a template, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way you need to do it. You know what I mean? Once I learned what traffic stops were all about and how to do a traffic stop, then I made it my own. So usually anytime I pull somebody over, I walk out, hey, how you doing today? And there you say, oh, well, I was good until I got pulled over, and I'll laugh like, I get that. Or, hey, how you guys doing? What you guys up to? And just a beautiful day. Hey, the reason I pulled you over is for this and that, or whatever it is. But I make it casual, just like AJ said. Like I talk to him as if I was talking to him without my uniform on, and it really kind of, because there's that awkward moment anytime you do a traffic stop of how is this gonna go? Is this gonna be? And it's awkward for both people. It's awkward for the officer because you don't know the person you're dealing with, and it's awkward for the person that's getting pulled over because they don't know the type of officer you are. So I try to immediately break that ice, so that way, I can try to bring this thing down, start to de-escalate, even without realizing if I'm going to need to de-escalate in the first place when I do the stop anyway. So I go into de-escalation immediately. But I think, what happens is people get to be like RoboCop, and they just do the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's like you forget now that you're a human being, or you forget you're dealing with other human beings. Like, chill out a little bit. Stop taking this thing so serious. And for the person out there that's going to say, well, you always got to be on your guard. You never know who you're dealing with. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't know who we're dealing with. We don't know if this is the person that wants to kill me. But it's like, I think it was, and I can't remember the guy's name, Grossman. Was it Grossman or Gil Martin? It was either Gil Martin or Grossman, but they said, treat everybody like your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin, but always have a plan to kill them. And I know that sounds, for some of you guys that are listening to this, if you're not in law enforcement, you're like, man, that sounds gruesome, but it's absolutely true. Like, I should be able to treat everybody like they're a family member or a friend, but in the back of my mind, I need to have a plan to deal with them if that is the person that's trying to kill me. I have to have a plan to kill them if they are the one that's trying to cause harm to me. But I think you can accomplish both. I did an interview you, I think 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago on Good Day LA. I think, did I talk about this in the last episode of the podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and about how you can do both. I think you can do both. I think you can be a nice person, a nice officer, treat people nicely like human beings, but still do your job effectively without having to come across as a jerk or top flight security of the world.
I am the nicest officer in the world until you make me not be. Mm-hmm. That's my approach. Like, I'll be your best friend, but the moment you force me to not be,
Yep.
you bought that ticket.
And don't be surprised. And I tell that to people all the time. I say, look, I'm gonna be cool with you. I'm gonna respect you. You're a man just like I'm a man. So I have no reason to not I have no reason to disrespect you. Your crime is your crime. My job is not to judge. We all will meet our maker. Sin is sin. I'm a sinner just like you. You just committed a different sin that's gonna be punishable today. However, I'm not going to treat you less than. But if you start disrespecting me, you start acting out all crazy, don't be surprised when you see me start acting.
When I get activated.
Yeah. Don't be surprised when you start seeing me getting disrespectful. And that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? But at least you gave them fair warning. And even if I had to go to court and stand behind some actions because I got in a brawl with this dude and and the DA picks me apart and says, well, you told my client that if he starts acting disrespectful, you're going to do A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. And you saw I was completely nice and respectful to them until they start getting disrespectful with me. And so
I've been in that seat before. Is it true that you said such and such to my client? Yes.
Yeah, yes. Yes. So
and I do it again.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing you guys can tell how the interaction's going to go within like the first 10, 15 seconds. Like how they
my
respond with you
For
guys.
the most part, yeah. For the most part.
Yeah.
Unless they're
majority of
obviously
times.
hiding it from you or whatever, but
Yeah, no, and even then, like, you know when somebody's hiding something from you. Like, people just, there's so many telltale signs that people will give to you without them even realizing that they're giving it to you. Like, if I ask a question and there's like a delayed response, or
yeah. That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Hey man,
what's your name?
Hey, yeah, exactly. Or they'll look another way, they'll look another direction. There's just so many things that they do, and I don't even call them on it initially. It's funny. So what I like to do is when I know somebody's lying, I just let them talk it out. Oh, okay, cool. And then I'll let my partner, get involved or whatever and start talking to them a little bit. And then I hit it with them when they least expect it. So we'll be mid-conversation or like the conversation's been going for 5 minutes. And then I'll be like, hey, man, so I've been listening to you for like the last 5 minutes and you've lied to me several times. So I'm gonna make this easy. All right. We can start over right now. I'll give you the one opportunity to start over and we can get off on a better foot. And I'll acknowledge that, hey, you know what? You're in a tough spot. I get it. You're afraid of what's going to happen. So I'll acknowledge that you lied to me, but not just because you were just trying to save yourself. But now I need you to start telling me the truth. But if you continue to lie to me, then I'm going to do whatever I can to throw the book at you. So it is what it is. And usually there will be a truth. You're not going to get the full truth right away. They'll give you something else that's more truthful than what they've been saying. And the moment I get them on one truth that they started off with the lie, I got them, because now I can say, man, you just proved to me that you've been lying to me. So what else have you been lying about? And you just start going down that road and stuff. And so, but there's so many different things that they'll do right away that you can tell that they're lying. And if they're lying right away, then I'm very cautious and apprehensive, even more so, because I don't know what they're trying to cover up. Then that's the scary part, because this person could just got done killing somebody and they're trying to cover up from it. So trying to figure out what they're lying about is the fearful part. But the person that's honest, you pretty much know right away, like, hey, this person's being pretty straightforward. Not to say that I'm not going to worry as much, but we've already gotten past the hard part.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is like when I ask someone a question and they immediately like, hey, what's your name? And they go, huh? Then I go back, huh? And then just look at them and they go, it's and I'll just be like, all right, hold on, wait, time out. We're gonna retry this. You can either tell me your real information, or we can have a seat in the back seat of the cruiser until we figure out what's going on. And they're gonna go,
I'm gonna go Denzel Washington training day on you, dog.
Man, my name is Did I ever tell you my Lil Mark story? Billy, do you remember that, Lil Mark?
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
All right. So once again, forever ago, pulled his car over, known drug dealer in the front, right? car is packed. All right, all the signs, right? Like they drove by the intersection, they see us, their eyes get big, deer in the headlights, right? All sorts of violations on the car. I light them up. They don't immediately pull over. They're all doing the shuffle, right? Everybody's moving around, stashing stuff. Just me and my partner, right? So we pull up. You know, got him at gunpoint. Hey, everybody, put your hands on the roof, right? I ain't trying to see nobody move right now. So everybody got their hands on the roof. So walk up. We take the driver out, pat him down, sit him down. Partner takes a passenger out, sits him down. Then he takes like one of the backseat passengers out, sits him down. Then another one, and then I go to grab the other one. I open the door, and I'm just talking to him as he's sitting there, right? And he's got his hands up on like the back of the headrest. And I go, hey, man, look, I'm not here to play no games right now. I already know there's a gun in the car. There's probably some dope. Like, I'm not here for this right now. I go, what's your name? And he goes, man, my name is Lil Mark. So I'm like, I literally sigh like, I go, all right, look. I go, this is your last chance. Like, we're not going to do this all day. It's too much going on. Like, there's just 2 of us. There's like 5 of y'all. Like, we are not doing this on the side of this busy road right now. What is your name? And he's like, man, my name is Lil Mark. So, you know, he gets taken out of the car, get him in the back, typing all this information that he's giving me. He don't know a social course. I'm doing all this stuff. His government name is LIL-MARC.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I didn't even know that was allowed.
But once again, when I found out, I went back there. I said, hey, your real name is Lil Mark? He said, I've been trying to tell you my real name is Lil Mark. I was like, hey, you can't be mad at me for that, bro. Like, I thought you was like out here trying to give me a hard time. And then, of course, he started laughing. He's like, nah, man. He's like, I just knew you weren't going to believe me, man. I'm like, first off, you're grown. Like, you need to know your social security number, have some sort of ID on you, right? But yeah, I don't know. It was funny. So I'll never forget that. Like, it literally came up with a system.
Man, I had the last name, which I heard is as down south last name, but Youngblood. And I was like,
we got some young bloods. Yeah, we got some young bloods.
Yeah, I was like, their last name is Youngblood.
Yeah, we have some young bloods. We got.
Oh man. But man, this was a good convo, man. I definitely thought it was worth exploring. I mean, now that Billy's had his first negative interaction with law enforcement.
But, you know, Billy had one bad interaction with law enforcement. His life is already falling apart. He's already late to the podcast. You know,
I'm just on a downward spiral, guys.
So you see the power of one negative interaction with law enforcement.
Oh, man. There's been some other headlines before we wrap things up. I know AJ has to go to work soon, but there's been some other headlines that's been going on lately. The Black Lives Matter activist or co-founder stepped down. And I think she only did it so that way she doesn't have to feel guilty about getting money in her book sales. And I heard she already has a movie deal and all this other stuff. And then there was another Black Lives Matter co-founder of the Minnesota chapter that stepped down because he said that the organization did nothing what it claimed it was going to do for minority communities, which is what we've been saying from day one. I say all this stuff just because this is what we've been trying to say from day one. A lot of it is smoke and mirrors. They'll say all this other stuff, but they'll do another, which is why I've never supported the organization from day one. So those have been some trending headlines and current events that I could think of. I don't know if there's any other current events that you guys can think of right now.
They arrested the 2 people in that road rage incident that killed the 6-year-old, I believe.
I seen that.
Yeah. That was huge. Did that make national news? I'm assuming, AJ.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was crazy. That happened out here on our local freeway, man. That was.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it made national news, but I think I seen it through social media.
It was tragic. I guess my wife was telling me. I guess they were on the freeway, and I guess the little man, he was 6 years old, was complaining his stomach hurt, and so she looked back. You know, she saw that he was bleeding on his stomach, and that's when she knew that something bad had happened. And you think about it, if a gunshot goes off on the freeway, you're probably not going to hear it. I mean, it probably just sounds like you roll over something or whatever. And so, I mean, I was just putting my son in that spot, just, you know, thinking about him saying my stomach hurts and looking back and him bleeding out because he was shot. I mean, I just couldn't even imagine. So, they made an arrest for that. So that was phenomenal. And then, go ahead, AJ.
Remember the cop that made the TikTok about LeBron James?
Yes.
He got fired.
Oh yeah. But he also has like $500,000 raised on GoFundMe.
Yeah, he got that. He has a book deal coming out. He got all sorts of stuff. He was talking stuff on some video someone sent me. Like he was just on there like yeah, I got fired. I didn't get fired for the TikTok video, but I made somebody mad at city council, so they fired me for something else. Then he just started going off. But he's like, that's okay because I got a book deal coming out that you could buy and support. And I was like, oh man, we live in a crazy time right now.
How do you feel about that?
It's tough, bro. Like when I first seen the video, I said it. I was like, "Oh, he getting fired."
We both
for sure.
said it.
Like
we both said it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we do have to be professional, like both in and out of the uniform. Granted, we do have a right to freedom of speech, but you know, we should be held accountable for like what we do off duty, right? Like people look at us, or people need to look at us as a professional, right? Like we can't be going out saying all this crazy stuff. I do think that like governments are getting a little bit too involved with like our outside life. So like there are agencies there are agencies out there who have rules that are like really unconstitutional, like basically saying like you can't say nothing about the city you work for. Like I don't want to hear nothing about city council, I don't want to hear nothing about the government, I don't want to hear nothing about the elected officials, none of that. So it's just like, oh, so basically you just don't want anyone who works for you to speak publicly about what you're doing because you're afraid it'll shine light on the situation. So I do think that there are a lot of politicians out there who are like pushing the envelope. But you know, with that said, as long as my check come every 2 weeks, I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, man. I like you said, man, we have a responsibility to be professional. And just because other people in other professions do some stupid stuff and are ignorant doesn't just give us the ability to go out there and be ignorant just as much as they are. So on one hand, I'm like, nah, like you and I both knew it immediately. As soon as we saw it, I was like, oh, he about to get in trouble. And I guess it wasn't just that. I guess there were some other things that he had been saying that had been pushing the envelope. So
yeah, he used footage from a body camera video, like where he like gave this subway worker like a big tip, and she was like crying, and he just kind of put it out there like, hey world, like look, they're good police officers. And then they kind of used that as like, well, you didn't get permission to use this video. And I think that was like
that's the thing, is that kind of, I don't know this officer personally, and
I don't
you know,
either.
And I'm sure there's gonna probably be some people that hate me when I say what I'm about to say, but I always want to just check, like, what's the intentions of a person's heart? Is it the intentions of a person's heart to legitimately change something for the better, or is it just to kind of get that clout, and just trying to get that name and recognition, and just be so you can go out there and get book deals and stuff like that? There's nothing against getting book deals. I have nothing against people getting book deals or promoting their brands. Shoot, I have my own brand. You know what I mean? So like, I have nothing against that, but my brand from day one has been for trying to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. I have turned down deals because it went in against what I was trying to accomplish. I have told people that I will not speak for them because they were trying to censor me in certain ways. And that's because at the end of the day, my goal is to do what? To bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. And so if that takes me having to do something that I didn't sign up for, then I'm probably not going to do it. And so I guess that's what I'm getting to, is like, what's the intent of a person? Are you really out there to go out there? Like, I wouldn't, there's a lot of things that I do in the community, I'm sure, like you, AJ, that we don't just necessarily go out there and put out there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to always,
a majority of what I do.
Yeah, you don't need to go out there and say, look, world, look at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I feel like people are just trying to do that to get that clout. And I don't know if that's necessarily right either. And so that's what I got on that. So
no, I can dig it. I have a one's got to go, by the way. I just made it up in my head, and I'm really excited about it.
All right, cool. Let's do it. So let's transition to one has to go for AJ has to go to work, and then we have a avid listener that also sent me a one has to go. I told her we were going to do it in the next podcast, but since AJ has one, we're going to do AJ's, and then I will make sure that I try to get hers on here the next time. So
all right, you ready?
On you.
Skittles, Starburst, Sour Patch Kids, or any type of sucker. So like Blow Pops, Tootsie Rolls, all of that.
We did one like this before, but I already got mine.
Did we?
Yeah, but go ahead. You want me to go first?
I don't know mine yet. I just made it up. Y'all go first.
Oh,
Billy?
Suckers got to go.
Yeah, suckers got to go.
That's
Like
tough.
Those chewy, fruity, sour candies, the best. All those.
Oh yeah, Sour Patch Kids are bomb. Skittles are dope. I like blow pops, man. I'm not gonna lie. I like the gum inside of blow pops are good.
I like the sour
like a
apple.
split second.
Sour apple. Is that
Yep.
right? Yep. Or watermelon.
Oh, okay. Let me do this one because I'm gonna do it right now. Because
AJ sucks.
Because I lost interest in AJ's.
well, y'all said it, not me. No, we just did one like that before.
All right.
This one's good. French fries, top ramen noodles, watermelon, or quesadillas.
What?
That's a diverse.
It is.
group
What
of food.
theme is this?
It is. It was tough though, cause I laughed too. But when I saw it, I was like, man, that's kind of tough.
All right, we got Skittles, guns, houses, or clothes. We got,
Oh man.
oh,
Hey, it was good. Look, I kid you not. This is what she sent to me. It was pretty good though.
we got Earth, Thanos from Endgame,
Oh man.
doorknobs, and refrigerators.
Hey, French fries, ramen noodles, watermelon, or quesadillas, bro.
Ramen noodles, man, because I ain't,
Yeah, same.
I don't eat
The
them no more,
noodles.
man.
What?
I'm grown. I can afford real food now.
Bro.
I gotta eat ramen noodles.
I had some ramen noodles the other day. It was so
They
bomb.
Roman noodles. Stop saying ramen. They Roman.
The
This
ramen.
one said Roman noodles.
They call what you call them, Billy?
Top ramen.
I'm gonna say
Y'all
fries
bougie.
gotta go. I'm gonna say fries gotta go.
What? Bro, over Roman noodles, bro? What?
Roman noodles. How can you got me calling them Roman noodles, bro?
Caesar noodles?
Oh man! Somebody said that Black Superman said that they pulled my black card because I said I gotta get rid
No,
of
he
ribs.
sent me a message. He sent me a message on IG, man. So yeah,
I was like,
get
man,
rid of ribs.
yeah, bro, rightfully so.
Cool.
But
All right,
anyways,
so I gotta
hey,
get up
y'all,
out of here.
we appreciate you. Make sure you guys to subscribe, give us 5-star rating, 5-star review, and with that, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.